And good evening, cyberspace. Welcome to Squatch-D TV for today's date, December 8th, 2019. I'll ask for the Peanut Gallery to withhold comments on our technical issues we're having tonight because they have been great. So we are bringing this show to you under duress. So yes, we know the mics were not on because I wasn't even connected to the show until a second ago because I accidentally hit something on my tablet, which is actually streaming my portion of the show. So no, both our mics were not on. Definitely, I wasn't even in the room. But anyhow, welcome everybody. So not our typical entry to the show, but hello, Mr. Bennett. How are you?
Hey, man.
I'm having one hell of a night here as the
just hang in there. Yeah, I know. Just hang in there. We'll do the best we can with what we got. It's all we can do.
We've been dealing with the laptop crashing and not really taking forever to reboot. So I'm trying to reboot it for the last 45 minutes, and it will not get to a state where I can actually. So I'm using my Chromebook to actually voice over in the show. That's not why my webcam was only on for a second.
Yeah, that's pretty good. I didn't think a Chromebook would actually do that. That's
the mic is being run off the Chromebook. Worked fine.
Okay. All right. That'll work.
Yeah. Cryptoville, the Control F4 of the cure-all. In this case, I couldn't even get the task manager to come up. It's just like completely. So it is now rebooted, and I'm not going to even test it till the show is ended and see what the hell's going on with it. I'm really good at computer maintenance. I clean the caches. I do all that stuff. I do all the maintenance on it. And I just did it at the beginning of, I just did it like Thursday or Friday. Computer's been working fine. And until today, of course.
Yeah.
Of course.
Never fails. That's right. When you need it, it's a problem too.
Yeah. So, hello. Well, let's say hi to our gang here. Hello, Aaron. Hello, Aaron.
Hey, Aaron.
Hey, Digger. What's going on, Digger?
Digger. Come on, yeah, Digger.
Heather, welcome. There's a new one. Hello, Heather. Good to see you. And there's a Fedware. I'm not using any Fedware.
Cryptidville. The Men in Black has got Steve now. They usually hit me.
Well, no, they haven't hit the desktop. And the fact remains is that I use my desktop for 95% of the stuff now. And the only time my laptop really gets put to use is once a week on the show when I'm really not putting any files on the computer. And when I go out to do a show, I may put my presentation on the laptop and use my PowerPoint on it to project it. But other than that, the laptop's been pretty much just kind of sitting there hanging out. So I don't understand what happened. I really don't. Men in Black. And hello, Frank.
Well,
hello, Frank. Good to see you, Frank. Yeah, Frank saw my face because I was on the 40 and slip from 6 o'clock to 8 o'clock tonight, and I was actually running the show off my desktop, so everybody got to see my lovely mug because I was using the webcam off the desktop. Hey, we have Fred.
Hey, Fred.
And we have to offer a hearty congratulations to Mr. Cynic. He attained his black belt today in Kempo.
Oh, congratulations.
When I saw the post, he said, going for my testing, wish me luck. And, you know, a couple hours later, he sent me a picture of him being presented with his black belt certificate. So, awesome job.
Good deal.
So, been under the weather watching my son. He beat me up real good.
Oh.
So, thank you, Frank. I hope this show kind of moves on to what... I really hope you find the show entertaining as well. We'd love to have you as a new listener, and keep you coming back. So
welcome anytime.
And folks, if you like the show, if you're on YouTube, you like the show, please hit the like button and also click on that subscribe button. We can use the subscribers as well.
Yeah.
So I see we have a little lower number of watchers tonight. Oops, something just happened. Unless that's completely incorrect. I don't know what happened. It looks like we lost everybody in the chat room because
Oh no.
Yeah, something's going on.
The bugs are after us again.
I don't know what's going on. Thank you, Frank. Well, it must be a false positive or a false negative, whatever, because the numbers won't. So, but anywho, we have a heck of a show for you tonight. We're going to get with that in a minute, but Mr. Bennett, how the hell are you, man? I haven't talked to you in a couple of weeks. When I signed off the show a couple of weeks ago, we did a show for about an hour and 19 minutes because I said I wasn't really feeling well. And boy, I was. There's an answer. Spray some holy water on that machine. Yeah, you're damn right, Tack. I don't know what the heck happened.
Well, I hope you're feeling better now, Steve.
Oh my God! You know, I know Steve Cawthron told me to take habaneros. I'm glad I didn't do that because that would have came up with my shoes as well. Yeah, that was a bad night. I didn't get to really fall asleep till about 4:30 in the morning. Oh. And then I woke up and I had a fever for the next day and a half. It was horrible. Yeah. But I'm healthy. Yeah. Well, I'm healthy and wise today. So, but anyhow, how you been, Chris?
Well, everything's been fine. You know, normally we had it lucky this year, knock on wood. Usually my youngest boy, when he comes in from school before Thanksgiving, he's usually sick. And, of course, he passes it along to everybody else in the house. So by the time Thanksgiving there, we're normally all sick. You know, but this year, no. I mean, everybody was healthy and wealthy, you know. Well, healthy. I won't say wealthy, but everybody was healthy. And we had a pretty good Thanksgiving, man. Just a small gathering. All my boys came. We had ate the traditional turkey, and had a real good time, man. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah. Yeah, well, guess what happened? I think the laptop is done.
Oh, no.
It is done. All of a sudden, I look over, and there's no icons on it at all. They just disappeared while it was sitting there.
Oh,
and
man.
Doing nothing. So we'll figure it out, get a new hard drive for it or something. It's probably what the case is.
That's probably it, yeah. I've been having a lot of hard drive failures out of Western Digitals lately. And I know this is not a tech show, but used to be Western Digital was the #1 hard drive with the lowest failure rate, but now they're like crash every time I buy one. I don't know what the deal is.
They came back. Something's going on with this machine. I'm not quite sure.
Yeah, I just upgrade, man. Put your SSD in there. They're really fast.
I don't know what happened. I just lost the picture. It could be the motherboard of the thing too. Who knows? At this point.
Oh no. Oh no.
Who knows? Well, anyway, that computer lasted me 3 years. Never again will I get a Lenovo.
Well, you know,
hello, Jeffrey.
There's Jeff. Hey, Jeff.
You notice the last name on that character?
Yeah. Any relation, you think?
You think? Hello, Ron. Good to see you, Ron.
Hey, Ron.
So anyhow, we do have a heck of a show. But you know what happened in the last 2 weeks since our last show? 24 friggin' inches of snow. That's what happened.
Yeah. Oh, man.
24 inches. So who the heck knows? Anyway, we have a hell of a show for you tonight. Got a lot to talk about. But before we do that, I do want to make one thing. Chris, you haven't probably seen this, but it's something I'm extremely proud of, and I got to put it out there. You know, is this gentleman right here. That's my son. That's my boy.
Yeah.
And he just graduated his New York State Forest Ranger Academy. So
great deal, man.
Tomorrow morning, he hits his first assignment doing field training. And, yep. So,
good deal.
Yep. So, very.
Are those Glock mags?
Actually, they carry SIGs.
Oh, okay. SIG.
So, yeah, very proud of that boy. He overcame a lot.
Handsome looking man.
Why, thank you. My son's pretty good looking, too.
Oh, no, man.
I got you on that one. All right. Oops. I didn't want to do that all the way, but that's all right. So anyway, let's get with the program so we can get our Bigfoot chat going here.
Revisiting the Ketchum.
We tend to get the interest because the paper was so shunned, and these individuals and their projects were so shunned. And you know, there's individuals out there that don't want to spend out also because they're making money off this. They take people out on guided tours. Oh, let's go look for Bigfoot. Pay $300 to $500 per person to go have an adventure. That is wrong.
So eventually this led to the Sasquatch Genome Project. Of course, Ketchum tried to get her paper peer-reviewed and published in a journal, but it kept getting refusal after refusal for obvious reasons. So all of a sudden, she got published in the De Novo Journal, which strangely was just created 9 days before the study came out. Turns out that Ms. Ketchum actually was the one who owns the journal, quoting, she bought it from a Casey Mullins. To date, there's only been 2 actual things published on the site. One is the study, and the other one in the fall of 2014 was this 6-page letter about something non-Sasquatch related. It says here that the Sasquatch study was peer-reviewed, but there are nobody listed that actually reviewed it. As a matter of fact, the real peer review is the rejection letters from the scientific journals. That's the real peer review. So as we see, especially towards the end, the timeline of when the journal was purchased or allegedly purchased and when the actual statement went out. So here we get back to this character of Casey Mullins, who Melba Ketchum allegedly purchased the De Novo Journal from. We see this Twitter page, which only has a very small amount of posts, hardly any followers, only 1 follow. Looks like a sock account to me if I've ever seen one. Miss Mullins or whoever this person is also put in several places under the name of Mullins Casey, the actual addition to the Sasquatch species. However, the one of the sites actually corrected it to this wonderful gem. Okay, folks, time to get up and stretch. So as we see, science itself does not look upon the study very well. They say that most of the studies indicate that it's contaminants, not some unique variant. Fast forward to what the Sasquatch Genome Project has become today. The Sasquatch people are more like us than different. They have their own laws, and they bury their dead. How the hell does Melba Ketchum know that? How does anybody know that? Of course, they were burying their dead. Why aren't we finding their bones? But if you really want to know what's happened to the study, this is what it's digressed to. Horsehair braiding by Bigfoot. Breaking limbs and leaving signs of its appearance. Written language. Sasquatch wrote that. Nonverbal communication, including telepathy. Of course, stick structures and arches. The usual. But if you really want to read the lowdown on the Ketchum report from a scientific perspective, Haskell Hart, a Bigfoot believer, is the guy to go to. Great geneticist, read up on him. The following is a public service message from your friends at Squatch-D TV. Once in a while, we have to call foul on misuse of a word. Here it is. Don't confuse these two. Habituation is the diminishing of a physiological or emotional response to a frequently repeated stimulus, something like Jane Goodall did. Habitation is the state or process of living in a particular place. I think that's what people mean when they actually say habituation. Yes, the following is a chart of the use of the word habituation throughout history. And the next chart we see is the use of the word habituation by Bigfoot researchers. Completely a misused word. And I came across this gem on the internet, good old Facebook, where somebody's trying to allege that Rick Dyer is actually some guy by the name of Chad Van Slooten. Sounds kind of sketchy to me. I mean, when you put out stuff like this, can you believe anything else that the person puts out? No. An elite team of Sasquatch specialists journey into the unforgiving Oregon wilderness in search of Bigfoot. Of course, we're talking about Expedition Bigfoot featuring Bryce Johnson, Russell LaCorde, Myra Mayer, and Ronnie LeBlanc. Sunday nights, 10 p.m. on the Travel Channel. Of course, the graphic says Wednesday nights. Schedule change. So a Twitter user asked Matt Moneymaker whether or not this show was legit, and his comment was not really. No Bigfoot field experience among them, if that's what you mean. Attending conferences and blogging about the subject is no substitute for attending actual field expeditions with experienced Bigfoot researchers. None of the cast members has ever done that. Well, first up, we have Bryce Johnson, whose acclaim was starring in Willow Creek. He's an actor and a podcaster. Next up, we have International Bigfoot Conference organizer Russell LaCorde. He's also Bob Gimlin's road manager. Next up, we have Myra Mayer, who is a scientist, a primatologist. Haven't heard her name in the Bigfoot field, though, before. Who knows? Then we come to Ronnie LeBlanc. He is an actual Bigfoot researcher. I've heard his name for quite a few years. Okay, so Mayer is a primatologist. We'll give her a pass. She probably has field experience, at least in primates. Okay, so we have a couple of people with some field experience, taking out a couple of, my word would be noobs. Okay, an elite team, maybe not, but we'll give it a shot. Well, if this is any indication of their evidence, oh boy, they've got a long way to go. I mean, using a Kinect system, which even in the paranormal world is questionable to me and to a lot of researchers, why the hell are they using this in the Bigfoot field? This isn't going to prove Bigfoot at all. Well, my suggestion is let's give the show a shot, give it a few episodes, see what they come up with. Travel Channel, 10 p.m. on Sunday nights. My suggestion, set your DVRs and don't miss Squatch-D TV.
And there you have it, folks. What we're talking about tonight, a bunch of things. So,
well, I can't wait for the Bigfoot show, man. It's about time we had something new came on, because every time something pops up on the TV about Bigfoot is something I've seen a dozen times from years ago.
Yeah.
So I welcome. I don't care if they got experience in the field or not. I welcome them.
Yeah, I mean, you have the usual. Actually, before we go on, let's say hi to a few people.
Yeah.
Let's say hi to a few people. We got Walt. Hello. Oh, that's Digger again. Hello, Walt.
Digger, Jimmy.
And Jimmy, Walt. Eric Allman. Hello, Eric. Good to see you here, brother.
Eric the man.
So, yeah, I mean, the way I look at it is let's give it a shot.
Oh, yeah.
Of course, the graphics said Wednesdays at 10, and then they decided to cut into my show time. So,
well, that is unfortunate.
Well, it's unfortunate.
I'd rather see it. Yeah, I'd rather see it on Wednesdays.
Well, you know what? The way I think of it is this way, and this is the marketing person in me. People can watch the first hour here, and then they can leave, and then they can come back another time. That's another view for us.
Yeah.
but anyway, that's the way I see it. I see a couple of people like have experience in a couple of things. Bryce. He started in Willow Creek. He's an actor and he's a podcaster. He has a show called Bigfoot Collectibles.
Yeah.
Then you have Russell Accord. Now, Russell has actually written a couple of books on Bigfoot, but they're fiction.
Right.
And based on research. He organizes a conference. He's been Bob Gimlin's road manager. He's had a lot of exposure to the community, but I don't think he's had a lot of exposure to the field. Myra, I mean, she's a primatologist, so she probably has some field experience, not necessarily with the big hairy one that we chase. But hey, you know what? Is it a team, an elite team? No. Is it a team of experts? No, not to us. To us, they're definitely not experts.
Well, you got to give them some respect for having a primatologist on the team. That's a good idea,
Yeah. That's an idea. Cryptoville writes, "Why would I want to watch that when I go down there to the green room?" Yeah, I understand that.
Yeah.
Eric goes, "I'm not the man. I don't have a TV show, and I'm a researcher with experience." Although, just kidding, I'm happy with that. Search of Monsters about Bigfoot is now on too, watching Squatch-D TV instead of DVR the other stuff. Thank you, Walt. We appreciate that so much because pound for pound, we have enough comedy and fun around here. I may actually have to break out the DVD recorder again. I haven't done that in many years, but I will record the show. I have TiVo now. I kind of miss it, but watch this. All of a sudden, Bennett at 10 o'clock is going to have technical difficulties. And it's technical difficulties of sitting in front of the boob tube watching Expedition. Yeah. So, God, I can't wait to get this camera back. Well, oh my God, I just rebooted the laptop again while we were doing the show just to see what would happen. Yeah. Any results? All my icons are a big jumble now. All right. Yeah, this thing is fried. Anyway, so you see, here's the, I have concern though about this. Me too. If they're going to use the Connect system, and trust me, I've seen the Connect system used in some paranormal programs, and to me, it's like, oh my God, they're not. There's nothing there. There's nothing to prove it's there. Just this thing mapping out something that may look like a person or something. The paranormal's even worse, and even this. Okay, it's got long arms, and it looks like a Bigfoot frame, but what does that really prove? I mean, that's not science, folks. That is, I'm sorry, a Connect system is not science. I hope there's evidence. No, I hope there's evidence that's better than this, because this is pretty sad looking. Yeah, I mean, it's just it looks like, remember I did that blog on the guy with the eye? Remember with the camera was like the second show out? It was one of the Stop the Lunacy ones I did, and the guy, that kind of looks like the eye right there, doesn't it? There Thursday.
Yeah.
Whoops. I don't know. So
you know, you could use the pareidolia and make about anything you want out of that. That's why I'm not really impressed with this. But you know what? This could be just something put out there that spark conversation. That might not be the real deal.
hey,
William,
what's going on, brother? Good to see you. And,
yeah. Let's see.
Yeah, exactly. Let's see how this is used.
Yeah.
I'm not a fan of the Connect. But you know, the thing is that they're putting this out there on the Travel Channel right now. Look at this.
Yeah.
You know what? Frank says could be a Bigfoot ghost. You never know. It's a ghost.
I agree, Frank. You see the big blob there. Maybe what do they call those things, Steve? The round orbs. Yeah. Looks like a Bigfoot orb.
Yeah. And you know, of course, this comment by you know, Matt, Moneymaker. Yeah, I mean, my concern. You know, people will say, well, that's Matt just being pissed off that, you know, his show isn't on Travel Channel anymore and blah, blah, blah. I understand that, but he does make a good point that, you know, there's really, you know, when they put the Finding Bigfoot team together, those guys all had years in the field, with the exception of Renee. This one, you know, not a lot of people have heard Ronnie Lamont. I have. So I'm not sure. And Rod Dupree from over on YouTube. Hello, Rod. Welcome to the show. Glad to see you.
Yeah, welcome, Ron.
And are they trying to mimic a thermal image? I have no idea, but exactly the context of it. But it looks like they're using a Connect system in connection with a thermal imager of some sort. So we'll have to see how that flushes out. But if that's what they're calling evidence, I mean, you know, it's not evidence. It may be a tool. It may be.
Yeah.
I'm not a big fan of it because they haven't proven anything. I mean, even the thermal image is not evidence. So, but anyway, yeah, I mean, there's a crew. You know, check it out. It'll be on 10 tonight. Hit your DVR if you haven't done that already, because we're on till 11 or 10:30. So,
is tonight the first night of the show, Steve?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. I'm a little perturbed that you know. It was supposed to start it on Wednesdays, but they decided to start it on Sundays, which I think they're going up against. Well, they're starting it really late, so that's not necessarily a good sign either. And Frank, I guess what channel is going to be on Travel Channel?
Travel Channel. Yeah, and I used to, you know. I'm glad the Travel Channel is now combined with, what is it, Steve? The Outdoor Channel? Or something else? What's the other one? Oh, daggone it.
Destination America.
Destination America. Yeah.
Although Destination America has steered away from the programs and Travel Channel has kind of picked them up. And just a little, one of the political things that happened when that all happened is the Travel Channel's flagship paranormal program was always Ghost Adventures. And you know, of course, now they picked up the series with Jason Hawes and Steve and Tango. You know, so what ended up happening was is that what's his name from Ghost Adventures? Oh, I can't remember right now. I'm drawing a blank. But he was part of the Ghost Adventures team, and he had two shows. He had Paranormal Lockdown and The Ghost of Shepherdstown, and he got bumped out of all of them when they bought out. So it wasn't really a fair shake, I don't think.
Yeah.
But
well, you know, one of my favorite shows that I used to watch, well, the Bigfoot related episodes anyway, was Mountain Monsters. But you know, I realized that's purely for entertainment purposes, you know. But it's funny. It's funny. Those guys get out there and they do the funniest things.
Yeah.
But for entertainment, you know, you can't ask for a more entertaining show.
I actually got bumped I was trying to figure out who got bumped off the shows. It was Nick Groff that got bumped off the shows. You know, and Nick had a really good show, Paranormal Lockdown. It was actually rather entertaining. He was doing it with Katrina Weidman, and when they did that buyout, he got bumped out. Now we have a couple more people. Michael Patterson says Versailles. I think they're trying to figure out some names. Now I don't know if that's the Mike Patterson from Ontario, although there is 2 T's in his name, so I don't think it's the Mike Patterson from Ontario. But you know, while Destination More is barbecue, that's right. Destination America, I like the barbecue pitmaster.
Yeah.
Eric says that one of the guys, an event organizer. Well, Russell LaCord is the guy who organizes the International Bigfoot Conference, and he is also Bob Gimlin's road manager. He's been running Bob all around the country the last better part of a year and a half since Tom Yamarone had the unfortunate stroke there. So anywho, you know, I did really find this really funny. Was this? I came across apparently Robert Lindsay. Remember Robert Lindsay, Chris?
Yeah.
He was a blogger.
Blogger.
And well, he wrote Beyond Highbrow, and you know, he stirred a lot of stuff up with some. Oh, thank you, Michael. We like you then. Mike Patterson from Canada, Ontario, Canada, runs Sasquatch Ontario, and we're going to be doing a show on him real soon. I'm getting some information as we speak, so that ought to be a fun show. But anyway, apparently Lindsay really gets some people ticked off. He's, you know, in the past he's written some pedophilic comments on his blog, which really was distasteful. Wrote some misogynist things. Very distasteful. So there was, I happened to just be looking at this, and there was a page, you know, please remove, you know, it was like, you know, I hate Robert Lindsay and he needs to go. And I know Robert Lindsay's real name. Hey, Cryptid, he says, hang on a second. Digger said, I met Russell in Eureka, California, seemed okay. But yeah, I don't think the guy's a bad guy. Don't get me wrong. I don't think any of them are bad dudes. Not at all. You know, they're just not known. And, you know, for them to, you know, of course, that's not necessarily their fault, saying, well, we're a team of experts. Well, that's what they're, you know, you got to say that. That's what you need to say for the show. And, you know, an elite team, of course, they're trying to write it up. They're trying to pump it up. And, you know, for the language, an elite team, this ought to be good. And us in the Bigfoot research, well, what the hell have they done? Well, it is what it is. Well, let's give it a shot. I mean, it's no different than.
It's a new show that they got to do a little self-promoting there. So, you know, you understand that.
And Cryptoville writes, maybe we should revolt and start our own network and call it No BS TV.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Well, that's what we have, Squatch-D TV. Or, when you tell you the truth, the good, the bad, and the ugly, and a lot of it is ugly. Anyway, so anyway, a real good time. So yeah, who knows what will happen? But there's dire pics. So anyway, the whole Lindsay thing. So there was this Facebook page that really wanted him off the site, and I'm looking at the site, and they're saying that, you know, Robert Lindsay is actually this guy. And I'm like, well, that looks nothing like him. And then I scroll down later on, and then I see, well, Rick Dyer is actually a guy by the name of Chad Van Sluten. No, for Christ's sake, if there's anybody that I know more than anybody next to, as far as bad guys go, you know, the top 3 are Biscardi, Dyer, and Fig Newton Perry. Those are the 3 big ones, and Todd Standing. The 4 big ones I know are what their real names are, what their up, down, left, rights are. And this is complete and utter BS. Yeah. And I was like, boy, I just would not trust another thing this guy writes, period. This is worse than Lindsay's writings.
Yeah.
You know, and Lindsay would come out at some stuff out of, Walt said we should have Stop the Lunacy TV.
Yeah, Walt.
That's right, brother. Yeah, Rick Dyer, the greatest showman. Yeah, he certainly is.
All right. He's a promoter.
Yeah,
give him that.
Yeah, my arch nemesis. And you know, a lot of people Daniel Benoit, welcome. So that's right. And speaking of which, I will actually be in Strasburg, Virginia, at doing a lecture down in Strasburg, Virginia, in the summertime as a benefit from one of the historical structures they're trying to do. They asked me if I wanted to come down there and speak. So, heck yeah.
Good deal.
So I'll be down south of the Mason-Dixon line very soon. But you know,
welcome.
Yeah, like I say, Rick Dyer. You know, I don't hate the guy. A lot of people do. No. The guy outside of the Bigfoot world was actually a pretty funny guy and pretty sincere guy.
Yeah.
But when you get him the Bigfoot thing into him, he's a monster and not a very good one. And I just don't understand why. But hey,
well, you know, the thing, you know, you can't really you can't really tell what other people's motivations are. Usually it's money, but you know, as far as being a person, you know, Rick Dyer may be okay, and personally, I have nothing against him. But if he starts telling me something about Bigfoot, I'm gonna put one hand on my wallet because
yeah, one hand on your wallet and one hand over your mouth so you don't or nose so you don't smack the smell of garbage. But because
no ill will towards Rick Dyer. His feet's fine with me, but you know, I just don't believe a word he says about Bigfoot. That's fine.
Oh, and Irish says he sold a lot of coolers. And you know, Irish here, I'll tell you what, he is a great singer, does a lot of stuff. I may just have to dig up that video I did of him doing the number at the Ohio Bigfoot Conference back in 2011. I don't think you were there that night, Chris. You came in the next night. But the night he was sitting in the lounge playing his guitar, singing away, it was awesome. And
good deal.
Ron says, I don't trust Dyer to tell me the sky is blue. Nope, I wouldn't either.
No.
So that may be a decent person, but I didn't say I trusted him. All right, so I also want to talk about, you know, the difference between.
The following is a public service message.
I didn't mean to kick that out. Hang on. Is the difference between habituation and habitation. There are so many times when I see, you know, the word misused. It's actually quite funny. You know, people say, well, you know, there's a Bigfoot living in the barn, and I think they're habituating them. That's not habituating. That's habitating. Habituation, and just to really break that down, habituation is something where you get them to come into you and they get comfortable with you. That would be more of a Janice Carter thing, although I think she was full of hooey because they don't knock on the door. And,
need to borrow a cup of.
I love that video. Thank you, Steve. Yeah, I'm going to dig that up some night and play it. I mean, just to show you that guy's talent. I mean, it was just phenomenal. I wish he was back here on the East Coast like he was. But he's on the West Coast now. But I'll run into him someday soon. Great guy. Cheers for listening there, Irish. Good to see you. But you know, what they meant is habitation, and you know, Janice Carter was a habituator. They didn't live on her farm; they came into her farm. You know, that's habituation. Is where you at. And people think, you know, and that's how you know the real ones from the fake ones. A lot of times is that, oh yeah, you know, I'm habituating them, and they live on the farm, and no. Because, you know, if anybody knows anything about primate behavior or any kind of animal behavior, they're not going to live on your farm. They just won't. That's why they're so elusive through the generations. But that's the difference. And, you know, it's kind of funny because I see that word habituation used all the time. And it's used wrong, and it drives me nuts sometimes. I'm like, what the heck? So finally, and we got, this is going to be the long-term topic tonight, is going to be the infamous Bigfoot study done by Ms. Ketchum. As we can see, that came out in 2013, and there's a lot. Oh, by the way, Irish said this.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I missed you guys at first night up there.
And Daniel, you're very correct in that statement too, by the way. Habitation and with only gifting. Yeah, exactly. You're right. So anyway, we're talking about the DNA study, and this stuff gets kind of dry at times. But to put it in a nutshell, and I tried to do it as best as I could in the video, is we have a lot of when it came out, she was being very catty about some things. And I remember that because I talked to her probably in 2010, 2011, when it was all this stuff starting to stir up and all the rumors were flying. And of course, Robert Lindsay was blogging about, how he had into all of that.
Yeah.
And, what can I say? It just seemed like something was off. A lot of folks don't know was the first person ever to promote Melba Ketchum was actually Tom Biscardi. And so everything was on the Searching for Bigfoot website for a while, and then it dropped off because she didn't really like him, and I understood that. We actually had a conversation. I have spoken to Melba Ketchum many years ago about that.
Yeah.
What disturbed me is that then we had the entry of Jabba Bob Schmalzbach, who was the recently left behind vice president of Searching for Bigfoot, Tom Biscardi's right-hand man for many years.
Yeah.
And entered into an agreement with Melba and the late Richard Stubstead. And that didn't work out very well. And I remember, and I don't have a copy of that anymore. I used to. J.C. Johnson actually sent it to me. I can now reveal my source on that. But he sent me the non-disclosure agreement that Melba was demanding, along with the sum of money. And if he didn't have the money, she was getting the money from other people like Wally Hersham. And, she was charging people, 4 figures to have this DNA testing. But you were entitled to read the results, but you weren't entitled to talk about the results. You weren't entitled to speak of the results. You're not, only when you cleared it through her, if you would get permission. And to me, that seemed a very draconian. Wait a minute, this is my sample. I'm paying you money. The results should be mine.
Right.
But no, it was that whole mine scenario. And why? Why is that? What would any scientist go to that length? I think not. I think that the way it would be, hey, listen, you're, in this agreement, you're not allowed to talk about this until the study comes out. Then that sample is yours and you can discuss it all you want. No, it was never like that. She wanted to capitalize financially on every single aspect of this. From the in my case, would have been, well, then, pardon the French, but you fucking pay for it then if you want all this.
Yeah.
That would have been my result. You're not doing me any favors.
And when you've got something.
Victor goes, what kind of Bigfoot nonsense is this, Evil? Well, what do you think when we're talking about the De Novo Journal?
Yeah.
So, when you have that draconian type of agreement, no. When you have that kind of draconian agreement, and I'm seeing that going, something just ain't right here. Just not.
Right.
It's the kind of stuff that makes your hair, Well,
I mean, for one, I mean, if I have DNA from a Bigfoot, which is fairly difficult to get, why am I going to give it to her and let it become her property and pay her for giving it to her? I mean, what's in it for me? What's in it for me?
Right. And we're not even into the whole I mean, this is just the start of this. We're not even in down the road.
Yeah.
And of course, there was all these bumps in the road. People left. And I think Sally Rainey was her spokesperson for a while, and she left it. And this went on. Frank writes, wasn't there any funds? Wasn't there funds accounted for, or she kept asking for more money? I'm really not that sure of it. I really, had kind of not been following the money trail all that much with this one.
Right.
Except for, when I saw the agreement, when I saw that agreement, I knew, hey, wait, whoa. And we got some more comments, and we're going to get to those in a second because we're building to that. Ron Bowles asked, Erickson's big mistake was including Melba in this project. I really believe she is the reason why this film never came to light. No. Ron, I'm going to agree with you on that. And just to understand you, and you know what, I'm going to put the cart before the horse. No, this is the real reason why the Erickson project failed. Number one, part of the research was done at the Janice Carter farm. Number two, the ORV. Well, I remember the owners of the ORV that sold the house to, and that was Roger and Lucille Johnson. I'll throw the names out there. I don't care. We'll do the Erickson project in a nutshell to me.
Yeah.
I haven't heard. Irish goes, I haven't listened to it in a few years, and I swear we were talking about Melbourne. Something just keeps going on. Yeah, they do. It's been a bad night. We haven't talked about this at all. It's been quite a few years, actually. But I see it. What happens is I see this stuff starting to recirculate and what really got me going was her promoting the expeditions in the Kiamichi Mountains when she said at the press conference, and she was so condemning of paid expeditions.
Yeah.
Anyway, the Erickson project. So we have Janice Carter, which has come under a lot of criticism over the years because Bigfoot knocked on her door and asked for garlic whole, not granulated, because they like not the powder.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's an issue. Then we have the ORV, which was the Ohio River Valley. It was in Crittenden, Kentucky. And it was a property owned by Roger and Lucille Johnson that Erickson, supposedly there was the pancake eater video and they were getting visited. So they sent the scientists down there, no surprise. I mean, people involved in the project were Dennis Foll and Dr. Layla Hodge Sheikh. And I knew Dr. Sheikh was involved in this from the get-go because I was down there and I'm a private investigator, so it doesn't really take too much of me to figure out who's there and who's not.
Right.
What I do know is that Roger and Lucille both tried to court our friend from the West Coast there, Mr. Biscardi, claiming that the Bigfoot had followed them to their new home and wanted money. And the word really on the street is that the Johnsons, after they got their money from the Erickson project, were blowing it all over Crittenden, throwing big parties, showing the films to people, and people were kind of chuckling at it. I talked to people at the diner that had seen the film and described it, no less.
Yeah.
So it was not a big surprise there. And then they tried, and the whole funny thing is Biscardi was brought there by this guy, and Chris, you know this guy because he called you at one point in time, and we'll get to that. Yeah. But what ended up happening was basically this guy was a cousin of Roger and Lucille and set the whole thing up unbeknownst to everybody there because we're like, how the hell did they find out? Well, he's my cousin. Oh, that's a trouble. And not to mention the weird thing about it, we were being followed. We actually were being followed. Why? Because I did counter surveillance. And when this big rig moved and blocked where we were parked, the car that we suspected was following us, the truck that was following us, moved. And then when the truck moved, it moved back to where it originally was. So we actually approached the guy. And then we never saw him again. But we had seen him for like 3 days in a row.
Right.
But anyway, there is some because of that muddling. But All right, let's put ORV. That may be the only legit thing. I mean, that's kind of a question mark because the actions of the owners post purchase. That's the only reason why I have some doubts. Finally, we have the Matilda videos, which came from Randy Bresson. And for those who know Randy Bresson, his stuff has been always questionable. And I have a clip of Matilda here, a picture of Matilda, a couple pictures of Matilda, and somebody who discovered what they believe is the correct costume. And here it is.
Oh, I know the correct costume.
There we are. There we are. And then they're wondering why. So, Ron, this is why I disagree.
Chewy!
That was a mistake. This was a mistake. This was a huge mistake. And it's okay. People want to believe. They get evidence. They want to believe. So that's why I really think that the Erickson project failed. I really do. From what I've understood, it was very long. It had a lot of interviews, very long, drawn-out interviews, and the evidence sections were very short. It was like a 2-hour, 3-hour video. So the networks, this is what the scuttlebutt I've heard. So I'm only going on secondhand information, but I heard the scuttlebutt was that it's just too long and dry for people. And I'm like, wow, this is kind of dragging. So who knows?
Well, if they came to me years ago and asked me what they should call a movie that they were working on from Eastern Kentucky, I would have told them the correct title would be Hillbillies Put on Wookiee Suit and Scam Property Promoter Out of a Lot of Money.
Yeah, well, because there's a backstory to this, and this is what really is telling of the ORV. So we kind of put the ORV earlier aside, so let's put that one aside for a second. Well, if you think about it, when the Erickson project announced that it was finishing up, Chris, you got a phone call from the cousin of Roger and Lucille.
Yeah.
And what did he tell you?
Well, I can't remember, Steve. I don't want to talk about it.
He was trying to debate.
Yeah,
but he was trying to debate you into, coming down and, and he was looking for a cash donation, I'm sure.
Well, here's the thing. It was all about money, the whole deal. And when they squeezed as much money as they could get out of one party, they were looking at other party to squeeze for some more money.
Right.
And that's all it was. It's all it was. It was all about money.
And the cousin was acting like the agent. I really believe that. And I remember being in the woods with the cousin, and we were actually at the house next to the ORV place, just listening.
Is it okay to talk about this now, Steve?
Well, man, this is funny. So, because this is all part of the Erickson project, believe it or not. And I remember,
all right.
I remember the owl in the background going, it was a barred owl. And he goes, psst, psst, oh my God, that's Bigfoot imitating an owl. And I looked at him like, you're crazy. And that was it. So, and that's what they prey upon. They prey upon, and hoaxers prey upon people who want to believe so bad that they will take pictures like the Wookiee costume and say it's real because they want to believe so bad. Right. And people say, well, geez, the guy seems so sincere. Well, so did Ivan Marks to Dr. Warren Cook. They don't call them con men. It's not because they're con. You know what con stands for? People forget this. Con stands for confidence. Their whole goal is to gain your confidence. That's why they're so nice. So,
and Steve, there's a reason he used the owl thing because, number one, I guarantee you, he knew that they were in the area and they were going to hear you were going to hear one, and he used the owl thing on you because he had used it on other people before and it had worked.
Right.
Because he said, "Oh, you hear that? That's a foot," and the other people that he used it on probably said, "Oh my gosh, you're right."
But much to the credit to Biscardi's son, who wasn't really, and that's the enigma of the whole thing. Biscardi's son was kind of a no bullshit kind of guy like myself, and he's like, this guy's freaking crazy. He said the same thing to me. They're like, what the hell? So,
well, I wouldn't have said that, Steve, but
well, in context,
it was apparent that the same guy that I believe you went into the woods with was probably the one that called me, and I'm sure it was probably the same guy. And
we gave his name, which we're keeping off the air. But
I feel like they were looking for more money because the money well had run dry, and that's what I'm looking for.
Hey, Harold said, "Watch out with the hillbilly bashing." Chris can do that because he's a hillbilly.
I'm a hillbilly, yeah.
I did not say that. But anyway, Cryptoville says,
I wasn't. No one calls me. Anyway, okay.
May or may not be doing. Yeah, very true. Very true. I agree, Harold.
Yeah. Anyway, Harold, I wasn't really bashing the hillbillies. I was like giving them credit because they slicked a property promoter out of a lot of money by using a Wookiee suit. So, I'm actually, kind of putting them up on another level, not really putting them down below me, They were pretty sharp.
Go to Adams or Brown County, Ohio, if you want to find Bigfoot. You can go to a lot of counties in Ohio and find Coshocton County, if I pronounce that right, Coshocton County. Digger's got to run. Take care, Dig.
See you, Dig. Digger.
But anyway, let's go back on, and we've kind of gone off on a tangent because somebody asked about the Erickson project.
Sorry.
No need to be sorry. That's what the show is about, discussion, and breaking some of this stuff down. So it's really fun because, well, getting back to the Erickson project, one last comment on that. Erickson actually said, of course, he's a believer in the project. He's putting out there the Sasquatch Genome Project that we showed some stuff on the video.
Can you zoom that in a little bit, Steve? I can't see that, dude.
Sure can. Put your glasses on. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
So, actually, very interesting comment, though. The release of this project was put on hold when it became clear that hoaxes, negative publicity, controversy, and farcical television reality shows about Bigfoot started to detract from our findings. So there's Erickson's dig at finding Bigfoot. That was his dig so basically, that was his idea. No photo or video in this digital age has ever proved the existence of creatures. Yeah, no shit. We were saying that for years before he made that statement, but nonetheless, I feel his intentions were good, but he just totally went off. And sometimes that happens. And unfortunately, we have seen that happen. We've seen that happen with a lot of things. We've seen that happen with the Ketchum thing. We've seen that happen with the Erickson project. So it's no surprise to me that things go off track and you start to find the real truth of the matter, which is unfortunate.
Right.
Right. Then we get to the whole publication of things, and we actually get down to the timeline, and I'll zoom that in for Chris's blindness.
Yeah.
We get to the nitty gritty as the findings before they came out were starting to, and this was done by a blogger who was following the story very, very closely. I believe the actual zoo bank registry was actually changed from January 9, 2013 to I think January 5th. I think he changed it to because he was actually incorrect. She registers the name of her article and species name on zoo bank, announces the findings on media, registers the event zoology January 5th actually. Online page for the journal registers a web page on February 4th. And then she appears and she claims she purchased the original journal on February 13th. And that's the big sticker there, because she said she had said she bought it from this woman named Casey Mullins, who actually put the alleged peer review on the Journal of Advanced Multidisciplinary Exploration in Zoology. She actually put the alleged peer review on there as well, this Casey Mullins. And it was listed, and when it was listed on there, it was listed, I can take you and show you some Bigfoot people. So
well, that's the thing that got me. The problems publishing the work, and if it had been like really on the up and up, we would have been reading this in Nature, National Geographic,
Right.
The big ones.
Right. Well, here's the thing. We have this under the name of Mullins Casey. She puts the alleged peer review in the Journal of Advanced Multidisciplinary Exploration in Zoology. Of course, then we had the retraction from it as well, and I gotta find that. So please excuse the brief interlude, because I have so many graphics on this one. There it is. There it is. And now you look at it. What does it say? Fake peer-reviewed document discovered in Belgian Ketchum DNA saga. Posted 3 November 2013 by the actual journal. So the journal said that this post by Mullins Casey, who Casey Mullins was the one she supposedly bought the journal from, says it was a fake peer-reviewed document. So now the people that run the site actually said, no, that was fake. And then we come to the sock account. So you want to talk about dirty pool, you want to talk about hoaxes. Well, here you go. So here's the Casey Mullins, at Mullins Casey. What a surprise. Editorial Secretary of Foundation. There's blah, 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 blah. And you see only 16 people following, only 11 tweets following 16 people, but only has 1 follower.
Okay.
The followers, but anyway. But you see the only thing
I know
takes digs at Meldrum. And it says Jeff Meldrum Braze. Well, that's pretty nasty. Try this, Mr. Teacher Jeff Meldrum. There are no stupid questions. Ever hear of it? Well, that sarcasm sounds very familiar to me. Sounds like the person we heard in the video earlier. So there's a lot of speculation online, and I can't confirm or deny it. Said that, there's speculation online that Casey Mullins was actually Dr. Ketchum or Melba Ketchum herself. Because as it turns, I'm not sure, but I've also heard online speculation that Ms. Ketchum doesn't have a PhD. She only has a master's. Not sure. I'm not going to say that for sure. So I still will respect her and call her Dr.
It does. Yeah, it does look a little suspicious at this point.
Right. So you have this whole thing out here. And then you look at the De Novo Journal site, which again was opened under the pretense of buying it from this person. And you sit there and you look, and it says peer-reviewed articles, and there's the North American hominids, next generation of sequence, and blah, 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 blah. Folks, it's not been peer-reviewed. We go to the previous slide, and there you have it, a fake peer-reviewed document. So it really hasn't been peer-reviewed. So that is very, very, very disturbing on its own. Absolutely.
Well, see, the thing is with Melba's, Dr. Ketchum's DNA study, that I'm sure it has been peer reviewed, but when the review came back, they was like, this is a crock, you can't.
Well, like the video said, the peer review came in the letter.
Right.
And I'm trying to find the letter. If I have it here, I probably do not. There it is. Here's a letter, and it says right here, you know, however, it says, thank you for sending the manuscript, blah, blah, blah. After cousin, I regret we have decided that your manuscript is not suitable for publication. It must be rejected. We appreciate the amount of work and care you have put in this submission. However, you feel the samples could have come from many different types of animals. Let's stop it right there.
Right.
It's not saying that because they weren't seen or observed, like
Right.
Melba suggested that's why they wouldn't accept it. It's saying that they probably have looked at their conclusions and saw that there was contamination and that there was mixed DNA, and that's why they said that after we have we feel that the conclusions could have come from many different types of animals, therefore sufficiently internally consistent to support the manuscript's conclusions. In other words, they've looked at it, they saw the conclusion and says, this doesn't match up. See,
Right.
I've seen Biscardi and Schmalzbach try to do that when they had their skeleton DNA submitted and tried to confuse everybody and said the foot. And I remember the hand. No, the hand. Remember the hand that was the bear paw?
Yeah.
Again, it came back. Well, it got rejected for one of these 4 reasons. Boom, 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 boom. And they said, "Oh, look, see, they said it's not in the system." No, that's not what they said. It said one of them could have said it's not in the system. They also said the DNA may have been degraded too much, or it may not be an animal currently in the gen bank to match it to. That's what they said. So again, what they're doing is the same Biscardiism. And you know, it's funny because, like I said, who was the first person to actually talk about Ketchum was Biscardi. And here we have a similar tact saying, well, they said because we don't have a picture of it or because we couldn't identify what it was or nobody saw it being collected, that's the reason why.
Yeah.
But that's not what it says.
That's right.
Right? It says right there that this comes from different times, therefore not sufficiently internally consistent to support the manuscript's conclusions. We also appreciate the effort. However, we don't have such resources, blah, blah, blah. And because our main concern is regarding the sources of the sample, such testing would not change our decision. So in other words, you know, they don't have the ability to try to parse out each single thing that's there, but they're saying that it's coming from multiple sources. So I'm sorry that we cannot be more positive on this occasion. If that's not a peer review, I have no idea what it is. But their basis is saying, well, they only took 3 days to do that. Well, I'm sorry, but you know, your report was only, I think, 30 pages long. That's not a big read.
Right.
You know, it's not like a 500-page report where it's going to take days. It's not like it's not like the Obamacare legislation that was 1,000 pages long and nobody bothered to read the past anyway. Right? I can understand if it took a week to read or 2 weeks to read because it's probably boring. But 30 pages, yeah. You know, and I've always said that the problem was with the primer. Primer was a huge problem in that one, I think. Anyhow.
Well, yeah. The thing is, you know, you can't say that science rejected you out of their opinion, because once you have a paper peer reviewed, they have to go by the science that's actually in the paper, and they have to be able to reproduce that. And if they can, then that proves exactly what you're saying is correct. And if they can't, then that proves exactly what you're saying is incorrect. And there is no opinion about it. It doesn't matter whether they think that there's a possibility Bigfoot may exist or not. When they're checking these DNA samples and primers, it either works or it doesn't. You know, there's no way.
Yeah. You know, and let's look at this from the aspect also that, that, you know, there was another series of letters written between another journal. I think it actually may have been Nature. And, you know, what was published was their responses to their complaints. But but they never showed the final letter, which must have been scathing, and they did not bother publishing or putting out there because it probably gave them the real peer reviewer they were looking for. So don't say that nobody would peer review your manuscript, because you have an email exchange with another journal that went on for a while and addressing issues and saying, hey, yeah, you've corrected it, and eventually said, and then there was their responses, but they eventually, respond. And Irish says peer review or beer review. I second that for beer review.
Beer review, yes, that's what it was.
And Frank Smith, our new listener, hello Frank, says Melba has now moved onto elongated skulls and dogmen now. I wonder what she will come up with. Very simply, this is a case of trying to fit the evidence to a hypothesis rather than fitting a hypothesis to the evidence. I'm absolutely sure that is the case. Some of the, there's another gentleman by the name of Dr. Winters, who, again, I have to expand this so Chris can read it. He's not sure if the researchers are inept or deliberate in their interpretation, but some of the DNA perfectly matched to humans, and the rest is crap. Some of the sequences, he said, were far too short to be the result of hybridization, making Ketchum claims of hybridization from 15,000 years ago not plausible. Others have questioned that as well.
Right.
And then we also have this one, which states from another DNA scientist, as far as the nuclear genome is concerned, the results are a mess. Sometimes the tests are picked up human DNA, other times they didn't. Sometimes the test failed entirely. The products of the DNA amplifications performed on the samples looked about like what you would expect when the reaction didn't amplify the intended sequence. Electron micrographs of DNA isolated from these samples show patches of double and single-stranded DNA intermixed. This is what you might expect from if two distant related species had their DNA mixed. The protein coding sequences would hybridize, the intervening sections wouldn't. All this suggests modern human DNA intermingled with some other contaminant.
Right.
That's the big thing. Not.
Well, Dr. Brian Sykes did a really good DNA study with samples submitted from all around the world. And one of the samples that was submitted was, I believe, the bear steak with the blood from the Smiha case.
Well,
and, he found it to be bear.
Ketchum actually did the Smiha sample, and that, if I knew some of the inner workings behind the scenes of this because I was getting fed information, and for months people were saying, "Yeah, the Smiha thing, that is going to be the one. That is the centerpiece of this study because we have this witness that actually shot one and saw it and did all this." And that's why Smiha waited and acted like the cat that ate the canary, and then submitted it to another. I don't think he submitted it to Sykes. I think he submitted it to another lab. He may have submitted it to Sykes. I'm really not sure on this. But anyway, it came back as bear, and then he threw it right in Melba's face. And I'm pretty sure he was pissed off over money, and that's what happens when. So you look at some of this stuff, and that was a whole nother mess in itself. You see what happened? I mean, Iris says DNA is not conclusive without actual body. The source will always be questionable. Well, if you have pictures of the actual DNA being collected from a live specimen or a dead specimen with video and audio and all nines, and you document it right, I'm sure that'll be okay. I mean, here's the video of it. Here's the sample, and the sample's coming up as that. So I don't see really a big problem with that. Or, lop off a hand and take it with you. Something.
No, I would cut. I know it's kind of morbid, but I would cut the dude's head off and bring the head out with me. That's really creepy, but that way you've got something physical and tangible. Yeah. You can plop Bigfoot head on the desk and say, "Well, there it is." You can take sample whatever you want. What do you want? Hair, blood, tissue, whatever it is, right there.
That's if you find it dead. I mean, because I would never promote killing one at all,
right?
Unless your life is being threatened. The other kicker too is that I really think that you know, if you're going to do a live sample one where you're doing something non-invasive, you want to have video of that collection being, you know, that collection being videoed and audioed, so you have a documented you know.
Yeah, but you know what, Steve? If you're leaving out a plate of blackberries with razor blades on the plate, you're probably not going to get very many return customers on that deal.
Very true. But anyway, so we have all this, and probably one of the best sources that I have as a contested DNA is from actually my friend on Facebook, Mr. Dr. Haskell Hart, who has a PhD in chemistry from Harvard, you know, Ivy League school.
All right.
You know, and he did a bunch of chemical stuff. And then since his retirement, he has focused on long-range detectors and the application of DNA sequences to species identification, especially relict hominid candidates. So this is a guy that works, a scientist who works on Bigfoot now that he's retired. He is, you know, he is very optimistic and very pro-research. So to me, that's marvelous. And, you know, his actual DNA article, I'm going to pull this over here real quick. His actual DNA report is quite extensive. And I think I got there we are. But as you come down to where he writes, finally, by far, the most controversial and difficult to assess work was done by Ketchum et al. And elaborated on their SGB, the Sasquatch Genome Project website. We're going to, based on all available data in Table 1, is seen of 78 samples with data reported by Ketchum. So he talks about this. All our samples have too many. So while he's highlighted yellow, additional samples, blah, blah, blah. All of the samples have too many anomalies and inconsistencies to be called human or even near human. These samples were repeatedly called novel or hominin by Ketchum, rather than the more common and likely cases of misprimed, which I've said before,
right,
or self-primed due to degradation or contamination. These phenomena are well known for ancient, and he puts that in quotes, ancient DNA, which practically speaking is any DNA not taken directly from a known live animal in hand. Further, if a species of analysis do not all point indisputably to human, the distance from human is not easily discerned from the discrepancies, especially if they are relatively many. So, and then it says the most studied sample by far is S26, probably because it contained the most DNA, said to be, in quotes, a hominin by Ketchum et al. In their conclusions, which applied to samples S31 and S140 as well. Analysis of the whole genome sequence and analysis of preliminary phylogeny trees from the Sasquatch indicated that the species, this is quoting Ketchum, possess a novel mosaic pattern of nuclear DNA comprising of novel sequences that are related to primates, interspersed with sequences that are closely homologous to humans. And then he writes, figure 3 shows this to be false. All the genomic database hits are applied for the 4 species. Clearly, the polar bear, closest bear relative to a black bear in the database, is the best match over all 2.7 blah, 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 blah. Human and primates are the poorest matches and have very few hits above 99%, whereas polar bear hits are concentrated above 99%. The other independent laboratories showed S26 to be a black bear, the only extant bear in California, the collection location of S26. Human or human-like results for other DNA analysis suggest contamination, especially by Justin Smeha, the sample collector whose Halio group were possibly matched to the S26 human contamination found experimentally by the other two forensic laboratories and deduced from the full mtDNA sequence in Table 2. Sample 31 is human by all accounts. It is also contaminated by fungus and bacteria. If in fact a Sasquatch origin could be claimed, it would require an nDNA sequence over more than just a reference chromosome 11 reported by Ketchum, which showed very few SNPs from modern human. Sample 140 is a dog. Figure 4 shows once again that the Ketchum et al. Conclusion above is false. Dog hits are concentrated above 99% ID. Human and other primates have much fewer hits above 99%. So that's it, really, in some of it in a nutshell. Lab protocols and to avoid or recognize in-house contamination are well established and described in Ketchum et al. However, the unknown and uncontrollable source of contamination, which is very often forgotten, is what happened to the sample before it was collected. For all practical purposes, any environmental sample collected in the field can be assumed to be contaminated, even if it is separated from its source for only an hour or two, or even if removed directly from its source. So basically, Haskell in a nutshell has, showed points of, and Roger, if you'd like to share that with me, just hit me up on Facebook. I would love to see them. Absolutely. Yep. I want to see what you got. And if you want to, if they're good enough, we can share them here and we'll have you on and we can talk about them. How's that?
Doctor, one thing that kind of disheartens me, about almost it's hard to collect a field sample without contaminating it, and I can understand that because it's very well it could be contaminated while it's in the field, but it very well is possibly going to be contaminated when you pick it up, even if you use tweezers.
Thank you, Frank. We try to be educational. That's our big thing. Have a little fun, have a little education, have a little jaw jacking back and forth. So that's the whole purpose of our show here. And well, you see, here's my thing. And it's very true. No matter what sample you collect, there's always a level of contamination or degradation.
Right.
Kind of evidence collection is kind of one of my things. And I understand that, but you see in the DNA testing, by looking at the number of mtDNA percentages and the DNA, the nDNA percentages, you can determine whether it's contaminant or the real thing, and you can separate those. But I've always said that I thought the primer was wrong because she was so protective of that primer. To me, there could be something even more dubious.
Right.
I hate to think that way, but to me, it seems a lot more dubious.
Well, the science of DNA has come a long way in the past few years.
Absolutely.
Whatever she was hiding back then, I mean, it's old news. It's ancient history. Now, when we've got the environmental DNA factor coming out, and they're improving on that every day, that's what I'm hopeful for. The day you're going to be able to pull a sample of water out of a river and test the DNA contained in that water and say, oh yeah, we've got all kinds. These animals have been here in this water, and look, here's a type of DNA that's different from humans.
Yeah, you're right. Absolutely. So I just and then we get into the final phase of this. Okay, so now we have the dubious beginnings of the study, the De Novo Journal, the Casey Mullins. We have all that minutia going on, which really, to me, before it even came out, started throwing major red flags. Major red flags. The NDA that she had for the DNA. See what I did there? That had flags going off. Then we have a real scientist looking at the case who actually did a report on it, and instead of just a glancing comment or a paragraph or two about it, he wrote an actual report on this. And he also wrote about the Sykes one too. This portion If you go and read that whole and look it up, you can find it. Google it. Haskell v. Hart DNA study. You will find that paper. And I tell you what, download it, read it. He provides it for free. Unlike Ketchum, who charged, when she came out with that DNA study, she was charging people $30 for that study. Right? Talk about money making again. Here we go again with the dollars and cents. So,
oh man,
so it looked horrible to a lot of people. And that threw up another flag. Then we have the, her now promoting, expeditions in the Kayamichis and stuff like that. And she may be doing it out of the goodness of her heart, not actually getting a cash bounty for that. But wasn't she the one who said, at the big conference that's wrong? Yeah. That's just wrong. Well, apparently not now. Then we go into, stuff like this. And, we've turned it into written language by Bigfoot, Yeah, I mean, I laughed. Nonverbal communication, including telepathy. So we're starting to get into the woo factor. There are people, they have their own laws. What? Really? What's their laws? What are
How
they?
does she know all this? That's what gets me. How does she know all this?
And then we have the infamous post. Has posted a picture of a horse that supposedly, had part of its mane braided by a Bigfoot. This photo captioned on her genome is Sasquatch appeared to take an interest in our animal companions and have been reported to braid horses' manes. And of course, anybody that knows, just Google fairy knots, F-A-R-I-E knots, devil's knots, witches knots, elf knots. This is something that's been going on for centuries. And what it is it's a natural occurrence in horses, especially if there's other ones on the property. They tend to bump one another and they get their hair all gangled up. My Shih Tzu's got a few strands like that too. It certainly ain't fucking Bigfoot, pardon my French. Sorry, I just had to say that. I see the level of, when I see this stuff, it frustrates the hell out of me. Because
Bigfoot braided my horse's mane.
It's just so frustrating because we have these people that we're looked up to. And, this is going to be it. This is going to be it. And then fast forward 6 years, this is the crap we're getting. Pseudoscience, junk science. Right? Right? Here we are all hoping. Erickson Project, here we all hoping. What do we get? Fucking Chewbacca. Sorry. But,
just calm down, relax.
Come on. I'm good. But
I gotta say, the Chewbacca costume was much better to look at than the horse's braided mane here.
Well, thank God it wasn't his mane and the tail. I mean, who wants to be looking at the horse's patoot? At least that's the positive. Let's say I'm sick of looking at this. Let's go back to the language again. I'm much better at that. There we go. That's a lot better to look at. That's actually got me. My blood pressure's coming down now. Okay, it's only.
Well, let's zoom in and look at this language here, man. I can't. It looks like a bunch of little stick people or something. What is this? All right. That's Sasquatch language, huh?
Yeah, that's what they're saying.
Wow. That's pretty good.
And they wanted to stop teaching. They wanted to stop teaching cursive in school. Dr. J stuff. Excuse me. I know what it says. Oh, geez. Irish, you just gave me. You just interpreted the whole thing for me. Zorth is a big a-hole. There it is, right there. See? Sorry, I had to say it. But that is the Ketchum Project in a nutshell, or as I like to call it, a nutcase show, because it certainly has so much junk and minutia, and definitely does not belong anywhere.
we went away from science and we've got over to Wooville, and this is some major woo on this language.
Wow, I tell you, there was something else.
And the braided horsehair. Oh wow. They bury their dead. You know, I have often wondered about that. I don't know. Like everybody else, I wondered what they do with their dead. But then somebody definitively comes out and says they bury their dead. Well, how do we know this? I mean, has she found a grave? And she has, it's like DNA samples from. I don't think so.
Yeah, well, the one thing we did find out is that they probably don't bury their dead, because if they bury their dead, especially around the Northeast, where so much wildland has been excavated, where the hell are the bones? Where the hell are the bones? Come on.
Yeah.
We've built new roads, we've dug up new plots. No bones. They don't bury their dead. Chimps don't bury their dead. Gorillas don't bury their dead. We're the only ones. And why did we do that? We buried our dead to preserve the body. So animals don't pick them apart. So insects don't necessarily eat them. We wrap them up and we bury them because we wanted to preserve the dead.
Yeah.
Don't ask me why. Me, when I croak, cremate me, and then, on a snowy, icy day, just spread some of me out on the driveway so nobody slips, and I'm still doing my job. That's pretty friggin' morbid, I think. Chris, you don't even know how to answer that, do you?
No. I think we'll eventually find out what they do with their dead one day. But for now, I don't know. I have no idea. I would like to think they bury their dead, but I don't think so. I've not seen anything that would cross over to like culture or language or anything like that. I think we're dealing with an animal that is intelligent, problem solving, and they raise their youngsters with the same knowledge they have, which they're really good at. But it's an interesting question, but so far I don't think it's been answered yet. They do with their dead. Don't know.
That's right. So anyway, just so we all can calm down for a little bit. Hang on a second. Ooh. Just so we calm down a little bit. Whoops. Hang on. We're going to have a little technical difficulty here, of course.
Oh, yes. Wonderful.
Well, no. I want to. Hang on a second. Well, we'll get this done yet. Hang on. You'll all appreciate this. Dang it. I guess we won't get this done. Hang on a second.
Don't worry about it.
No. This is very, very important. Hang on. We need everybody. There we go. There we go. We need everybody to calm down a little bit, relax. So what we're going to do here is, there we go. We're all going to calm down for a second and just relax and have everybody chill. There's Baby Yoda.
Oh.
There's Baby Yoda. Everybody relax. Let the blood pressure come down. And Frank also said, that's it. Bigfoot cremate their dead. You never know. That's about as good as burying them. But Baby Yoda, everybody chill. So,
Baby Yoda. Hey, I've read up on Yoda. That's not Baby Yoda. No, it's Baby Yoda, but not the Yoda.
Okay. The Baby Yoda creature.
Yeah, whatever species Yoda was. Yeah, but I think Yoda was like 900 years old when he croaked. So,
and actually, Baby Yoda is 50. If you watch the show, he's actually 50 years old. Right. I don't know if you've watched the show. Right.
No, I've just caught some of the blogs about it, and for the time that passed between the 50-year-old infant Yoda creature and the time Yoda actually dies, and when he's training Luke, 900 years or 850 years didn't pass between that time, so it's not the original Yoda.
Yeah, well, there is online conspiracies. I think it may be
Yes.
Yoda. Or that the Empire, the remnants of the Empire, want to clone Baby. I'm not sure. But it's a fun series. I've been watching it. It's a lot of fun. So
yeah,
we'll see how it turns.
yeah, I'm planning on watching it.
It's really good. It's like a Western in space. It's really good. But anyway, I think we're good for tonight. And there it is. It's a theory that it's Yoda's clone. Absolutely.
Yeah, Frank. Yeah.
Everybody is in on this one. Usually it's where it's not even like, this is even worse than Game of Thrones. I mean, everybody is in on this one. Well, Ian, if you don't know who baby Yoda is in quotes, you're not on this planet.
Yeah.
You're not on this planet, I'm sure. Oh, konnichiwa, baby Yoda. You know what I mean? We're Japan, they're probably talking about that way.
Well, I remember I haven't seen the series yet. I'm going to watch it, but I haven't seen the series. But I have seen the Baby Yoda, and when that came out, it says, Baby Yoda. I said, oh no, wait a minute, that can't be right, because Yoda was like 900 when he died. So yeah.
Okay. Do I have to call Walt Captain Obvious here?
Yes, Walt.
Well,
Return of the Jedi. Yoda died. Yes, sir, he did. That's right.
But anyway,
900 years.
Hey, but you know what's going to happen in 12 days, don't you, Chris?
Let's see. Not right out. What are we talking about? Christmas is not
Skywalker.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the Rise of Skywalker is on. Hello, Carol.
Carol.
So the Rise of Skywalker comes out in 12 days. You're damn straight I'm going. I'll be there on opening day. I've been on opening day the last 6 movies. So
yeah. Well, that's another thing we share. We love the science fiction movies, and Star Wars was, one of the all-time great. I will go watch them. I'll pay the fee, whatever. And if it's good, it's good. If it's not, which a lot of them have not been really good, but it's okay, because he earned it back in 77, 78 with Star Wars. Yeah, he still got cred for that.
Hey, the way I look at it is, it's not my story; it's their story, and you like it or you don't. But it's their story, right. So I'm never faulting it like a lot of people will fault it for saying, "Oh, well, they should have wrote it this way." It's not your story, dude.
Right? Yeah, you just have to, take what you can get, and then you either like it or you don't. Like the Game of Thrones, the last episode.
Yeah, I thought it was fine. I enjoyed it. Well, it's not my story to write. Oh, look, right. Carol Sherman just wrote in Yoda. Carol in Idaho, I. What was it? Why is Yoda in on a 4K television? Time for a bad joke. Why is Yoda on a 4K television?
Why?
Well, ask Yoda, and he says HDMI.
That's terrible, Steve.
It was funny. Yeah, HD, high def, MI, HDMI.
HDMI.
What is that joke?
Terrible.
I don't know why I told it. I just don't know why I told it. I'm sorry, folks. I apologize for that bad joke. We can return to Baby Yoda so everybody doesn't get bad.
There we go. Yes.
Bad joke.
Yep. I feel relaxed now. That's good.
All right, yes, we calm everybody down with Baby Yoda. Okay, folks. Well, this is the show for the night. Sorry, Carol, you came in late. We're just about wrapped up here. We always run about an hour and a half, 2 hours normally, unless Steve gets the stomach flu, and then we run about an hour 20. And sometimes actually, the show ran an hour 20. I probably ran the whole night. But anyway, next week we'll be back. Of course, good to be back this week on Twitter, via Periscope, and on Twitch, and on all the websites and stuff like that we haven't been on the last month. We finally fixed. Thank you, Frank, and we are so glad to have you on as a new listener.
Thanks, Frank. Glad to have you.
So we always like to have a little fun, a little relaxation, and every once in a while, Squatch-D will throw out a cuss word just for emphasis. And don't mean to, but Chris is used to our blog talk, family oriented radio, and now he's not used to Steve being a little unabashed. But sometimes you gotta get a little edgy to get your point across.
Well, sometimes the stuff we talk about is frustrating. I'll give you that.
Yeah.
And especially, the big thing is just the woo-nacy. And when we're talking about the woo, man, I get frustrated too. I know where you're coming from.
You think a Squatch can be telepathic? Okay. You think he comes from the UFO? Okay, I can. But more sprays in the language and anyway. If I keep talking about that, we're gonna have to put Baby Yoda back up.
Oh man!
But we're glad to be back on all our networks again. Got this thing rolling, finally good, and it's running like a champ. Aside from my laptop, which, hey folks, I just checked it a little while ago. Let's see. One last check on the laptop. Here we go, folks. What do you think? Take your bets. Place your bets now.
Is it gonna work?
Nope. Still got the spinning wheel. So she's dead. She's been booted for about an hour now. So it's pretty much junk. So just what I wanted. But see, here's the problem. Thank you, Irish. Have a good night, brother.
Thanks, William.
So anyway, we'll figure that out. So anyway, folks, on behalf of me and Chris, we are Water. Oh no, you really want Baby Yoda again. Thank you, David. Good to see you, brother. Hope you're feeling well. We'll be talking shortly, brother.
Dave.
So anyway, folks, on behalf of everybody here at Squatch-D TV, we want to wish everybody a healthy, happy, and safe next week. We'll be back here next week, 9 p.m. Eastern. SquatchDTV.com, SquatchDetective.com, Facebook.com, Steve Kulls, Facebook.com/SquatchDTV, YouTube.com/Steve Kulls, Twitter.com/SquatchDet. Yes, come join us, 9 p.m. Eastern. Catch us on replay, catch us on restream, catch us on wherever you can, on the websites. We're there. Give us a like. Give us a like, give us a subscribe. Check us out. Chris, any final words?
Just thank everybody for joining us. I appreciate it. We'll see you next time.
Catch y'all next week, folks. Remember, most of all, keep on Squatch. Everybody, be good.